Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast, and now here's the guy who will always save you a seat at Applebee's. I am Rob Cesternino. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Survivor Post-Game Show, episode 10. It was another good one on this little season that keeps on going. And I'm so happy to have back here with us to talk about it all. One of the truly fun people to talk Survivor with. It's James, the Godfather Jones. James, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for the warm welcome, Rob. I'm so excited to be here, man. I feel like we're about to have a fun episode to talk about. The season is spicy.
Yeah, the season is spicy, and so are always James's takes. And so we'll get into everything here tonight. We want to see your questions here in the live chat, and of course, your comments after the show. And I thought this was just, James, I think this is an episode of Survivor that we will never forget tonight.
I feel like this is the thing. Like, the players nowadays, they're able to blindside people with these idols. Like, I feel like this is one of those things where everybody what plays the game and watches the game and says, I would never do that. I know what I'm supposed to do. But when you're out there, you're playing with people that they have their effect on you too. Yep. And that's what happens.
They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with these idols. And the second week in a row, we see somebody go home with the idol in their pocket. Third time this season that we've seen somebody go home with the idol in their pocket. We've seen 0 idols played. 3 idols go home in the pockets. No advantages even get used. Tevin went home with an extra vote in his pocket. So this has not been the season for advantages, James.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. And that's the thing about the game where, advantages, no advantages. Literally, the people in the gameplay just make Survivor just a fun, now hour and a half of television to watch. So.
Yeah. Okay. So we got a lot to break down from this episode as Tiffany goes out of the game. Very sad. My winner pick, my draft pick. Very sad to see Tiffany go. We'll have her on the exit interview coming up on Thursday. Plus, Stephen Fishback on the Survivor Know-It-Alls coming up on Thursday as well. And then on Friday, I'll be back taking calls from our patrons. I've been going about 2 hours plus, taking just a ton of calls from the patrons, talking about all the strategy. Been really, really fun so far this season. And of course, you can get that at robhasawebsite.com/patron. Okay. So, James, what's new with you?
So, I'm still in Philadelphia. I'm back working. It's a regular working world. I feel like there was a lot of big Survivor news that dropped about, season 50 being returning players.
When did that happen?
Apparently,
they said something about Survivor 50?
I did. I feel like, the game is afoot now,
Yes.
I feel like.
Okay. Yeah, James, there's only so many spots at Applebee's open, and there's going to be some people very sad in a couple of years.
I feel like that everybody's going to be sad, but if the chosen few that get the call, great. I'm not going to sit there and I hope I go. I think everybody wants to play. I feel like even people that said they would never play, if they got a phone call, they would strongly consider it.
Okay. Well, look, James, we'll see. Maybe some people from Survivor 46 are cementing their spot as we speak.
Some big moves tonight, some major gameplay.
They better invite Applebee's back, James. Applebee's, I think, tonight earned a spot on Survivor 50.
But it looked so good. And bad food out there tastes good. So, even getting some microwaved Applebee's is probably the best stuff ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
No doubt. The Applebee's, it's great for the survivors, and I'm sure it was great, even if you were not starving for 18 days on an island. Boy, did Applebee's get their money's worth or what tonight?
I won't give Applebee's another plug. There is an Applebee's by my gym that plays Survivor every Wednesday night. And I go there sometimes to watch it after my workout.
Okay. Oh, James is building up his story for Survivor 50, where if he doesn't get picked for Applebee's, that cut to the montage. Sia's going to feel so bad for him that he didn't get to have Applebee's after it's part of his post-workout routine.
It is, man. Part of my transformation, you know?
Okay. All right. Well, I thought this was a classic episode tonight. I think that the Liz not getting picked to go to Applebee's, James, I just think that we're going to talk about this forever. This was a classic Survivor moment.
This is the moment that I think like producers are dreaming for, where like they know this is here and it just lines up in their lap, and it's like it's so natural, like it's very authentic, and I think that's the reason why it hits, is because this really is a moment for Liz where like, and you see and you just see it fall through her hands, and but it's also Survivor because it's poetic, where you did vote for this guy to go out. So he kind of doesn't really owe you anything technically from a game standpoint. So and that's Survivor that's just kind of where, and you know, at the end, she ends up voting to keep him in the game.
Okay. All right. Let's start there. Okay. Because I really want to talk to you about Liz's decision tonight, because the whole episode, I mean, this was this great Shakespearean story of, okay, Liz has the chance now. All the power is after she didn't get picked to go to Applebee's. Q screwed up her game. Maria comes to her. Hey, Liz, you're the one vote that's going to decide this thing. Do you want to send Q home, or do you want to take Tiffany out? James, I want to know from you, do you think that Liz made the right decision?
I think it depends on the strength of the bonds that Liz feels like she has in the tribe. So if Liz feels like, we're going to 7 now, right?
Yes.
If Liz feels she has a 4 that she can trust going into the 7, then great. You know, like that makes sense. If I mean, you have Q there as this big shield, as a kind of maybe consensus vote, but clearly Jeff said it himself. Q has been a smokescreen for the last 3 votes. So sometimes you just need to take out the smokescreen, but it hasn't been happening now. So who's going to be the next victim possibly? So if I was her, like, is the move to maybe tie the vote?
Okay, this is what James, I thought about this as it was happening, and tell me where the hole is with this plan, because I think that I have the perfect move for Liz that she should have done, because maybe tonight she did.
Big mistake.
I think she did. Because listen to this, okay? Listen to this, James. Okay, Liz goes to that tribal council, okay? And everybody votes. Jeff comes back with the urn. Does anybody want to play an advantage? Liz stands up, says, Tiffany, play your idol. You are getting voted out tonight. Maria, Charlie, Ben, and Q, they wrote your name down. There's 4 votes for you in that urn. Play your idol right now, and Q will go home. Tiffany, okay, stands up. Plays the idol. Okay, this is a real idol. Votes for Tiffany does not count. All right, Q, out of the game. This is Liz's move. She did it. She gets Q out of the game. She's got the move for her resume. Everybody is just going crazy. This is the move for Liz.
I think the issue now is getting Q out a move. Like, I feel like
that would be a move. That would be a move, James.
I feel like the way they're talking about Q at camp, right? I actually am enjoying Q's gameplay and going from a big threat to being someone that people want to play with him and take to probably pretty far.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you know, it would have been the move, or you talk to Tiffany beforehand and you take out a Maria, or you take out you can't take out Charlie, so you take out a Maria possibly, or whoever you think is threatening your game the most.
Yeah.
Q made you mad. But
I don't know how much time Liz could have had prior to tribal council. I got the sense that they told Liz kind of very last minute. I think at the point where they're sort of watching Liz after that. If Liz goes back to Tiffany, I don't know if they can change up the plan at that point. So I'm not sure if it was if there was enough time for Liz to be able to flip things around. I guess for Liz, and I'm a Liz fan. I thought this was such a great episode for. I saw people on my timeline complaining about, like, were you not entertained by this? I mean, this was just incredible television. But for Liz, I worry that there is not a path for her to both get to the end and also have something to show to the jury.
Sometimes you need to have a good story about your games to the jury. I think that's the thing. If you're able to paint yourself as the hero in your story and your information is accurate and it checks out, you can find yourself with $1 million if you have two other people that the jury may not have a taste for the game they played or some things that they did during the game. You never know. So I think it's more about understanding the read and being at least brought in on that story and that plan. And now you can kind of plot your way forward, and hopefully make another move or just move forward and kind of make some things happen.
I also get the sense that Liz is at the bottom of where things are. And so to go along with this vote, to be the fifth vote at the last second to take out to take out Tiffany. And it's not like she's going to have a chance to work with Q. Like, where is her inroads to get like in a group to get to the final three coming out of this? I just felt like that if she would have made that move, and maybe she becomes the biggest target after she makes that move to tell Tiffany to play her idol. But I kind of feel like that. I mean, is there some appreciation from the Tiffany, Kenzie, Venus side that she ends up saving Tiffany in that spot? And then it's like, hey, the four of us now, let's gang up on the three Segas and make a run to the end.
All right, so you're saying Q
in the world where Liz told Tiffany to play her idol at Tribal Council and then Q goes home, there would be four of the people that voted for Q versus the three Segas potentially.
I feel like maybe she's in the middle. So no, I feel like I don't know. I feel like Q is Maria's person right now. Like, if you're going to take someone to the end, are you taking Q or Liz?
Well, that's what I'm feel like that Liz is in a bad spot. I feel like that Maria might be more likely to want to take Q to the end.
And I think this is kind of a good conversation to have where you're talking about, okay, like, what's my path to winning or what's my path to going like far in the game, right? And you have to kind of make that decision, and hopefully your calculus is correct, is that the game that you're playing as constructed, something's going to happen that you can possibly surpass the people in front of you, or the game comes to you and, big threats drop and crazy stuff happens and you're, have a deciding move at 5. So I feel like you want to stay in the game, but this could have been a chance where she could have tied it 4-4 and then, maybe have a semi-live tribal where the outcome still is what it is, but maybe the game is a little more shook up.
Yeah. That would be an interesting moment also if she did decide to tie it 4-4. How do you think that would have played out? Do you think that there would have been like campaigning of, hey, Tiffany has an idol, let's get her out like Hunter?
I mean, all right, so you probably know this better than me. What happens if they tie again?
If it was a tie again after that, so basically just to talk it through for the listeners, okay, if it was a 4-4 tie at the final 8, so then Tiffany wouldn't vote and Q wouldn't vote. So the other 6 people would vote again, have to vote for either Q, have to vote for Tiffany. If it comes back a 3-3 tie again, that's when we're going to go to a rock draw, and the other 5 people, not Q or Tiffany and not Charlie, it would be a 1 in 5 chance for them, for Liz, Kenzie, Maria, Ben, and Venus would draw a rock, and one of them would go home.
Now, at that point, is that the move for Liz?
Go to force a rock draw. Interesting.
I mean, who wants to go to rocks? But when you're at the bottom, it makes the most sense, right? So, like, you have the actual, I'm trying to win this game. You're clearly about to blindside somebody and get a big move. So, if I want to win this game, I have to make a big move. If you want to win this game, you're going to have to do my move or go to rocks. So what are you going to do?
What's her move? She's going to stand up and say, "Okay, everybody, vote out Q, or we'll go to rocks."
I mean, it's more about the kind of just going to rock. I mean, maybe someone will flip, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to go to rocks, but if you think you're on the bottom, why would you? If you're the bottom 3 of that vote,
Yeah.
right? If you're not part of the Sega 3, right? Why would you if you think you're at the bottom, then you have to make a move at some point, right?
I guess so. But I mean, the move that I described of get Tiffany to play her idol, that's still number one, right?
Oh, well, that's kind of that's the safest way to get what you want. The question is, how do you so the votes are already on Q, so Q goes home, or do you put votes somewhere else?
I don't know where, like, I don't think she has the time to in what in the information that she had and the time she had. I don't know if there is another move for her. I mean, James, as somebody who sat on the jury, would, like, if you're watching that play out and that Liz has somehow forced a tie, like, is that a move that you're even noticing? It seems like it's such a minor thing that I feel like is going to get lost by the time you get to the final tribal council.
So I feel like getting Tiffany to flush her idol and getting the person you want out is the optimal move.
Yeah.
At that point, which you could have still voted for Tiffany and still had made that move.
Sure. Yeah, I guess if like but that after the fact,
Yes.
if that I guess, like, does Tiffany count the votes of, like, hold on, Liz, did you vote for me also? Like, I feel like it doesn't work as well together when you get back to camp. As to say, like, no, I was one of the people that voted for Q. I think it also waters down the move for her if she doesn't write Q's name down.
Understood. I mean, I think that's probably a big move. The question is she then the next person out when that happens?
Well, that's good. But better that, I feel like, in having to figure that out than a scenario where she's headed towards the end without a real chance to win. James, I don't know if you've heard me on the podcast talk about my theory of the threats versus the nothings versus the losers.
I like this theory.
Yeah. And Liz, I feel like in my mind had a chance to go from one of the nothings to a threat in one fell swoop.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that move would have been big enough, but I still think that she could have did that and possibly had still a kind of a low profile target where you're able to do things from the bottom where people have their viewpoints on you in the game.
Yeah, who's coming for her after that? I mean, is it like that the group is like, oh, well, Liz is like, she's such a big threat now that she told Tiffany to play her idol? Like, I can't imagine. I still feel like, Maria is still out there. I mean, I think that Maria is the number one target after this, after the attempted assassination on Tiffany, right? That Tiffany and Kenzie and Liz and Venus, like, aren't they going to want to come back and vote out Maria after that?
I think Kenzie is probably going to feel very isolated. And the question is, how much information does Kenzie have? And can she cook something up with Ben? And does something like that make sense with a possible? So I think Kenzie is going to be the swing factor. And is Ben going to be still with Sega? How does he feel when the Charlie Maria dynamic? Is he fine with that? That I think Ben is going to be the swing person in this coming down the stretch here.
Okay, that's a great point. Let's talk about the Segas and where they are. First off, you mentioned Ben. I really was surprised in the episode when Charlie and Maria talked to Ben, based off of what we've learned about Ben this season, that I feel like he's sort of like a heart first kind of guy. He doesn't like Q, doesn't like the way that Q has carried himself and talked about quitting. He does not care for these shenanigans, he said. And when they came to him and said, hey, let's not worry about Q, let's take out Tiffany, I kind of thought that Ben was going to balk at the plan and not want to go along with it, but he came around and he said that the strategic move was, definitely take out Tiffany.
I think Ben is doing something that I heard Adam talk about this thing a little bit, where you kind of base your game communication on emotion and kind of stay away from the strategy. So when you're kind of voting somebody out, like, I want to get Q out. Oh, when someone comes to you with a strategic move, you're like, you could be thinking about that too, but you kind of lower your profile when you're not thinking strategically about it in that way, or something like that gets brought to you. So I feel like Ben is doing a good job of kind of reading the tea leaves and saying, hey, when am I going to make my move? I'm getting brought this information, so I'm still on the right side of the vote. So I feel like he's in this very interesting spot where he's probably the lowest threat of the Secret Three moving forward, which is where you want to be. You want to be the lowest person kind of in that perceived group.
Okay, let's talk about Maria, because I'm really interested to know from you, James. And really, I feel like, you've looked at all these like new era scenarios, and have talked so much about like your threat level and what it means to be a threat in the new era. For Maria to make this move here at the final 8, this was her move to take out Tiffany. Was this the right thing for Maria to be doing?
I think so. I say yes. If her vantage point is she has Charlie, you just need one more, and you only have to get to 4. I mean, like it's fire. Like that's kind of what it comes down to. And who's not going to take that trip to the 4 at the end? If you're in that position, like who's not taking that trip? Because that's all you really need to get to if you're a player.
Yeah. For Maria and Charlie, do you feel like, is there blowback now from this where now, okay, they're a pair, they're the tightest pair, they've just made this big move. I think Maria is looking like, if you're out there, forget edit, she's looking like the biggest threat to win the game.
But they have a gift. They have the gift of Q. Kenzie is not working with Q. Liz is not working with Q. Okay, so to make anything happen, you need Venus and Q to work together. Like, I don't think we've never seen that conversation, that relationship ever happen, right? Is Kenzie going to work with Q? No, he just blindsided her, right? This is like when someone you think is not playing a good game wants up you in the game, that's kind of like those. No. So if Venus and Q can get on the same page and then get Liz and Kenzie, is that happening? I don't think so.
Yeah. Could we just stop down for a second and just talk about, can you believe we reached the point of the season where Q voted out Tiffany? And I know he tried to do it a couple of weeks ago. He did try to do it a couple of weeks ago, but just to go back to where we were like in the beginning of the season, like it's pretty amazing that this is the outcome that we came back to after all of this. Q is somehow still here and Tiffany isn't.
I mean, I know we're getting an episode, but I feel like choosing Kenzie and Tiff was a great app. I feel like that was very strategic. You want to know why?
Why?
You're taking them away from camp. It gives everybody else time to scheme and plot everything they're going to do the next day. And, I feel like that was a great move. And you get cozy up with Maria, get her some food. Q should get the fishy.
Give Q the fishy. Wow. Okay. Well, that's up to Steven. Well, I'll ask him tomorrow. But okay, if we're talking about Q's decisions, I have to say, I feel like and I loved it for a TV moment. This was incredible television to have. I mean, you could not have scripted this. You have this woman who has allergies, who cannot eat. The only thing on planet Earth that this woman can eat is an Applebee's hamburger. Enter product placement. The reward is literally the burger she eats every single week. A miracle, salvation in the form of a bourbon burger from Applebee's. And then the opportunity that he gets 3 different chances. She begs him, please, I haven't eaten anything. Take me on the reward. And not once, not twice, but 3 times he passes up. In the third, even being kind of a fake out where he's like, well, Liz, she hasn't eaten this whole time. So, but I have to make my own decision. I have to go with Kenzie.
Hey, I loved it. I mean, that is the Survivor I love. It's like when D was still trying to vote out seafood.
Yes.
That's the game. Like, build these relationships. Like, make it so he wants to take you. Like, once you alienate people, it's kind of like it is what it is.
Yep. Now, Jeff let the other 3 women, Maria and Tiffany and Kenzie, let them off easy, James, because Jeff did not say, Does anybody want to give up their spot to Liz?
I feel like after the blow up, I feel like if there wasn't a blow up, that's a possibility. But I feel like Jeff, Jeff is going for that was TV gold. He just sat back and who knows if that was the plan? It probably was just we're gonna let this roll, and we don't even need that question, So
James, how about then right after this? And I screamed when then we go to commercial and Jeff's like, boy, Survivor's hard. Think you can do it? Apply. I don't know. That was I was crying.
I mean, Survivor is hard. It is hard. It's no matter 26, 39. It's a hard game.
Yeah. Such a funny moment. But anyway, I kind of feel like this. Does Q? Okay, I understand Tiffany. I thought that was smart. I understand Maria. Okay, she's been loyal, but that third pick, shouldn't he have gone for Liz instead of Kenzie? I mean, I know he said, look, Liz, you voted for me. Kenzie voted for him too.
I feel like sometimes you want to keep people weak. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, if someone's struggling out there, I mean, it's why do you, there's no obligation to be nice. I mean,
yeah. No, I just feel like that, but wasn't Liz up at, I'm not, forget being nice. I'm talking about for a potential ally. Was it this is there's James, if there's an opportunity I have to do you the biggest solid ever, to give you the thing that you want, that I when I'm Q, I'm on the bottom, I'm looking for anything.
Hey, man.
Isn't that a bargaining chip for Q that he could, with no allies whatsoever, potentially win over Liz?
I'm gonna just take it back to something I saw. Noel gave Jesse his letters. and he promptly voted her right out. I feel like Survivor, there's no IOUs in Survivor, so you have to really no one's thinking about that type of stuff anymore. I don't think you have to literally make the best move for yourself at all times and kind of be a little cutthroat and savage. And I think he probably made the calculation from a relationship standpoint. I was once cool with Kenzie. I probably had never been cool with Liz. So at the end of the day, I had the best chance of rekindling with Kenzie as opposed to appeasing Liz, who I know still doesn't like me. And I'm going to energize this person who's been actively trying to get me out the game.
Yeah. I just thought that with you're already taking Tiffany, maybe you could win Tiffany back, and then she could get Kenzie on board. And then also you have another opportunity to potentially win over Liz. I feel like that you're able to sort of diversify the portfolio a little bit more.
I mean, does Q? I'm trying to Q. I feel like it's in a solid place though. I feel like it's Q and Maria. I feel like I've always had an open line of communication. You hear Maria say, "I trust Q." You don't hear anyone else saying, "I trust Q." So when one of the more powerful people in the game, you say her and Charlie are, if one of those people trusts you, one, you have a bigger target in front of you, and two, you have friends in high places. So I mean, it's one of those dangerous games where you're at the whim of the quote unquote power player, but no one's really has the juice to get you out because of the power player.
Yeah. James, tell me about where you think Q can go from here. Somehow Q has made it to the final 7. Is there a chance that Q, let's start with get to the final 3.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Q can get to the final 3.
Yes.
Okay. Can Q win the game?
Let's see. Let's think about the jury composition, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is he responsible for? He's not responsible for.
Soda's first, right? So Soda, Tevin, Hunter, and now Tiffany.
I mean, those 3, he really wasn't too much. He was responsible, but not really. Hunter had an idol. Soda was, I don't think Soda was on that tribe right there. Tim went away, so no blood on his hands there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he wasn't trying to vote out.
He
Tevin,
voted for Ben.
Huh?
He voted for Ben when Hunter went home.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the, End of the day, he has no blood on his hands, right? If you're able to win a couple of challenges, I'm pretty sure he hopped over. He won a challenge today, and it doesn't get easier as it goes. He got fed with the Applebee, so he's going to be ready to rip and roll.
Yeah.
So, can he win a couple of immunities? Probably.
Yeah.
Is he a bigger? Is there other targets in front of him? Yes. Is he best friends Maria, Ben, and Charlie? Is that an easy 4 vote for them versus everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
James, Q has talked about how that he's playing a Q game. He is a game changer. He's not playing the game like other people have played it before. Do you buy this? Is Q changing the game, and if so, how?
I feel like sometimes by playing, like the game comes to you in the most unorthodox ways. Like where you can go from like being someone and you can say, I'm kind of quit, vote me out. And people have their just own agendas in the game so much that you stay in the game. And now your threat level is so low, but you're in this great place where you're like, no, everybody knows where you stand in a way, and people aren't working with you. So now you are a way better person to play with than someone that has options on the other side. So if you ever are a player that can do that, where you can have 2 people that aren't working with you, there's not so many people in the game. So now you become a great free agent for the other side. Because in this season, we had a lot of unified votes. Like we're all getting on board. Everybody is not on board. And that's the thing about these unified votes is like everybody feels like they have a chance, like they're part of the move and they're part of the clique. And in actuality, you only really know around this time who really has the juice. And clearly, where the juice lies right now. It's Maria, Charlie, and Ben. So that's where the juice is.
James, could you, in a hypothetical situation, coexist with Q? Could you work with Q?
Yes. Like, why? Like, it's a game. Like, I feel like in corporate America, you do this all the time. You may have a coworker that you may not care for, but you just gotta make it happen. Like, we were playing a game for $1 million. Like, I feel like I deal with people that I don't like all the time. I feel like it's something that you kind of just. I feel like if you can't make that sacrifice, like I feel like that's something where you can. It's people you like, right? But from a game standpoint, they may not be the best for your game. So you can choose to play with the people you like, or the people who may need you, or the people that have more logical reasons to play with you.
Yeah,
and that just kind of depends on what type of player you want to be.
Yeah, let me give Q some credit also, because that Q has sort of had a very interesting post-merge game. We saw that the original Q game post-merge was all about control. I'm controlling this group. I'm running this. This is the 6. If anybody says a name of the 6, that gives me the freedom. I'm going to vote them out. Don't go against the 6. He went from that he was controlling everything to then he was absolutely on the bottom. And he's done something very interesting, James, as far as being on the bottom. He sort of like sets up shop outside of camp, lays down there all day. And I don't know if this is sort of like in conjunction with his like, hey, I want to quit strategy, vote me out. But the fact that he's sort of just like, and I don't know if this is what he's going for, but giving the appearance of, I've laid down and died. I'm not doing anything. I'm not scrambling. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. We see in this episode, Maria comes to him last minute. Hey, all right, we're not going to vote you out. We're going to vote out Tiffany. Everybody just assumes, okay, he's the person to go home, but he's not doing anything. He's just sitting there. And I wonder if he resisted more, would he be gone already?
Restraint is strength in the new Survivor. Knowing when to hold back is the strongest thing you can do. Like Jam, when you know the idol's coming out, you can tell everybody and make the crazy big move, or you can let both sides think they're winning and you stay in the middle and you just take that information. That restraint is kind of like, I think like the strongest thing you can do in this game, and you can let people, shoot each other in the foot. Like Q, they had Q dead to rights, literally just take this person out. And when you have these unified votes, it's kind of like, except for that one wasn't, but in the beginning, someone's going to come out like not being right with those unified votes, And we're seeing now that's what happened. Q is sitting in a nice place where people know exactly where he lies.
Mhm.
And that's the best place to be if you're looking for an ally.
James, it's kind of hard to imagine that he will go out next.
I mean, why would you take Q out? Do you think Tiffany is voting for Q? I mean, do you think Kenzie is going to vote for Q? I feel like now you just put people in the jury you think aren't going to vote for Q.
Yeah. All right. I want to go back to Kenzie. And Kenzie, I thought was very interesting tonight because in the last episode, we saw that she was the first to say, all right, now's the time for me to vote out my closest ally. And I'm going to go for Tiffany. And then they changed it. Tiffany said, I'm going to play my idol. Oh, we can't go after her. Then tonight, Tiffany said something very interesting tonight. She said, like, well, like I wanted to last time vote out my closest ally. That's the biggest thing, the biggest move that you can show to the jury is voting out your closest ally. I'm not necessarily sure where we're getting that from.
It could it could be conversations on the camp. Maybe they're talking about these things, like they're talking about moves and claiming moves. So, I mean, I necessarily don't subscribe to taking out people that trust you implicitly, but some people do, and and juries may respect that or they may not. The person that you take out may respect that or they may not. This is kind of the game, but I don't necessarily believe that the jury is like, oh, you took out your number one, that's good. I mean, some juries in the past would be like, that's so messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, the game has evolved, but at the same time, it's
But where
kinda
did
just
this
like, you
come
never know.
from, this idea? I was trying to think about this, was it that they made such a big deal that, that Dominic didn't take out Wendell and he should have, or does it go back to that, okay, that people liked it so much that Jesse took out Cody? Like, where is it?
I think it's a combination of enjoying seeing that blind side take place of that like kind of that person like digging that knife in that person that they've been working hard with. But also I do think the moments of Survivor history as you talk about is sometimes you don't really talk about the clean sweeps as much as you talk about the robbed people or people like a Fishback who like people watch the season said, man, he played hell of a game, or people did see Dom's game. Or when you do see people going to the end that all play respectively different games and they're like, wow, that like they should have maybe took somebody out, And I think what
Yeah.
happens is the question is if they took that person out, would they be as far as they got, and you're play to win and sometimes all you do get to the end. But I don't think that's something the jury's looking for. But you never know. On the island, that could be talking about like the new era. Those big moves, like Jesse's taking out Cody, iconic move. Like everybody like knows about it. It's probably the signature move of our season. So if that's and we said we were going to give Jesse the money. So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
maybe that is the path to make sure you win. Like I came here to play. So
Yeah.
if that's and the question is if you can do that and make it to the end, even better. So yeah.
Okay, so Kenzie last week felt very much, okay, I need to take out Tiffany. But then Kenzie came back around and then felt like, okay, you know what? I'm not feeling it. This is not the right time to take out Tiffany. What do you think from Kenzie's perspective in terms of having that change of heart? Did she get on the right page, or was she was it the wrong page to go back on it?
I think once you kind of go a direction, you just got to see it through. Only because now, once you give the other side permission, they have so much leverage over you.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of like in a bad spot. Like you can't. So like Charlie and Maria know that they have three people backing up that they were trying to get Tiff out. So like if she does something kind of shifty, then it's kind of like, well, we can always flush Tiff idol, vote out Kenzie, and kill Tiff another day. Like
Yeah.
stuff crazy. I mean, maybe that's the way we played. But like that stuff happens very quickly. Like when people divulge information, because it's like you kind of declare war on your ally to everybody else. Like you lined up a whole vote. So now you already started a vote against them, and now it's just easier for them to come behind that vote the next time because that vote was started already.
Yeah. I just don't understand from Kenzie's perspective of why it was the right move. And I was down on it last week. I didn't think it was the right move last week. But if she felt it was the right move last time, why was it the wrong move now?
I feel like that's kind of the question when you're making these moves. Like what is the next move? Like, what is your game plan after this vote? Whether it goes your way, hopefully you're there. If it doesn't go your way, if
Mhm.
something else happens, but like, what is your next move? And I think sometimes it's you're operating with the information that you have, and then you get to that next point, and the information you have is clearly not the right information from a leadership standpoint, and now you're just in a bad place. And I feel like she looked around and she kind of thought, okay, I can't work with Q. There's only so many people left, right? So who is my four after this vote? And do I have four if Tiffany is gone and Q is here? If I'm not working with Q,
Mhm.
like that doesn't exist. I think people start looking at the numbers, and then you're like, oh man, the numbers are not looking good. Like who can I work with? And then you're like, I need my ally here, but you already opened the can to say, get your ally out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to make it that my whole new thing is for people to tell other people to play their idols, but I don't know. Maybe this is sort of like some emergent gameplay that we'll see as more players get voted out with their idols. If somebody knows that the blind side is coming, get the person to play the idol who has it in their pocket. But I had said last week, if Kenzie tipped off Hunter to play his idol, that would have been a good move for Kenzie.
I I think idols should be used more in that way. Like for me, I feel like idols are just kind of like a way to influence a vote. Like your vote, someone else's vote. There's only so many votes in the game, so using it on yourself is great. But any way it can get used to, if it protects you and gets somebody out, great. But if
Yeah.
it just, typically when you like get the biggest person out or get somebody that people want out, they're kind of happy about it for the most part. They're like, you took the shot, good job. Like, thank
Yeah.
you for making it easier for us sometimes. I mean,
Yeah.
you raise your threat level, but at the same time, it's not too much blood on your hands, especially if someone told you to play your idol. So you kind of, it's not solely your move. You can put it on another person. You can say, oh, well, she told me, but I think that would have been the move for Kenzie, knowing that the votes were on Hunter.
Yeah,
So.
because that if Hunter stands up, plays his idol, Q goes home, and that helps out Kenzie and Tiffany a lot. Hunter, I think, is particularly grateful for that. Also, where is Hunter going? I mean, I feel like that he called Kenzie his number one. And so, yeah, he's still going to be a threat to win the challenges, but he's also has no idol and has no other allies.
But a threat to win the challenge is also sometimes an asset because then you can take out the people you want to take out.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is like you kind of still want to take people out, and I don't think anybody's ever challenged beast their way to the end with zero. Like it just
Until Charlie came along, because I talk about how impressed I am with Charlie.
Charlie's a beast. Did you see him in pregame? Like did you see him like pre-merge? Like he hasn't been bad at any challenge.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, and really, it's that to go further back a little bit, also, he was like head to head with Charlie, with Hunter at the end on the hanging on the pole challenge. Then he beat Hunter last time, and then I was so impressed with this challenge tonight. And then James, at the end of it, we get this reveal that Charlie has Q Peridium with a new video. He hacked the challenge with working on grip strength. Do you know how many Survivor players just ordered the Amazon grip that forearm exercise machines? They sold about 600 to Survivor players tonight.
Hey, Gabler should have been on that a couple years ago, I mean, but I mean, I feel like I feel like Charlie, like he's a marathon runner, like he endurance and pain are kind of built into him, but he's just this unassuming Taylor Swift character where Q's like Charlie doesn't have a killer instinct, and like those are the people that just scare me, like yo, like he like is like everybody out there given the opportunity. I think now it will cut your throat. As opposed to I think in the past where you had people that literally didn't know what was happening in the show. It's like you had an era have the people like come out, don't know what's happening, recruit. Like now everybody knows what they're out there for and what's going to happen. So, you know, people are down to have these nice exteriors, but he's doing a great job of having people really just low key and think they have Charlie in their back pocket. And then he kind of just votes them out or, keeps them on their team. Like, no one has Charlie called a vote. No, not really. No one said he's a challenge
he's doing
beast.
great. He's in a really great spot. Sam is telling me check out. Charlie posted his grip strength training. What is he in a class? Or is this it's like he's at school and he's just like sitting there and people are like, what is this psycho doing here? It's like, I'm just training for Survivor.
He's like just in class. But that's what you should do. I mean, I put a balance game in my backyard. I had the little thing where you like a little ball.
Do you do that? I feel like this is a first, and this is so impressive.
Oh, I feel like you should be doing all this stuff. You should be looking at puzzles. Like these are the little things that,
But this is different. I feel like that you study the puzzles and it's sort of like, oh, that's cheating. But Charlie, like, he's like, okay, all these are grip straight. I'm going to practice my grip. And it feels different. Like it's similar preparation, but it feels like, wow, amazing.
I just thought of a really bad joke that I should not tell about grip strength.
Okay.
In practicing.
Okay.
So I was going to leave it at PG-13. But no, the right hand is strong,
Yes, yes. Is that how Gabler ended up winning that challenge and going the distance?
Gabler just had old man strength. Like, here's the deal. Like, you acquired
he got a shout out tonight.
Huh? Oh, of course he did. Like, it was the most amazing thing to watch. I know we're talking about 46, but like Gabler, like he had that old man strength where you just knew he wasn't losing. Like it was kind of bad. Like it was just like Cody was there, he was moving back and forth, and Gabler's just yelling out names and thanking everybody. Yeah, It was kind of, that's how it was.
All right. I want to get to some questions from the listeners. If you got questions, post them in the chat. We want to hear from you. Let me just also bring up something fun that we're going to do next week. Okay. A little bit of a programming note. Next Wednesday night that we are going to be in the Windy City. I'll be in Chicago for a huge live event. And so I will not be live after the episode. Shannon Gus will be here in this spot next Wednesday night with a very special guest. And I'm not sure if we're announcing that yet, but it's going to be a good one coming up next Wednesday night. But while we are in Chicago, we have, by the way, okay, Sam says it's okay. Yeah, Shannon and Kelly Wentworth will be here next Wednesday night after the episode, so that'll be a lot of fun. And while we're in Chicago, okay, everybody, you can see sold out show, 950 people will be there on Wednesday night next week. I will be on Thursday going live to the Jackbox headquarters for this Survivor takeover. We've got a big show coming up. We're going to play some games live. You can join us at 1:30 Eastern on Thursday the 9th on Twitch, twitch.tv/RHAP. So we'll send out the links for that. So get ready on next Thursday afternoon. That should be a lot of fun. Okay?
That looks like a strong alliance there,
Oh, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It might be the end of an alliance if the Jackbox games go a little sideways. Okay? All right. Should be fun. We'll be there in person, not just like on Zoom. Should be a lot of fun. Okay. James, answer this question for us. Can we officially say the idols are cursed? What's it going to take to get folks to play their dang idols? Will the theme for Survivor 50 be Ghost Island too? With all these idols that didn't get used properly?
Maybe if everybody just starts out with the idol. Like that's the new, like everybody has idol.
Yeah, and not for anything. What about poor Randon? 4 people left with idols.
Yeah, I feel like now people just like are planning for idols, so you kind of have to think about how can you use this idol to your advantage.
Where's Rob's fact checker? This has got to be the season where the most people go home with idols.
That's 4. Yeah, that's a lot. Like not even
because we thought Dwight went home with an idol and he didn't. Jesse had it.
Flashbacks and pain. Pain. Flashbacks and pain. But yeah, I feel like
They
this is
know they
testament
can
to the
play the
game.
idols, right? They know they're allowed to.
I mean, but the players now aren't like they're not like I feel like the idol has been such folklore that once you have it, players can just acquiesce around it. We're like, I have no reason to work with you other than this. However, we're scared of this idol thing popping up
Mm-hmm.
and hurting me. And that's all you need sometimes to get people to vote.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sam's saying that Mike Bloom has a tweet about the stats. All right. Well, but tell me what it says. I'm doing a podcast right now. I can't read Mike Bloom's Twitter.
Especially because Q was an obvious target to kind of dump votes on. So if you don't have a Q in the game, it may be
Yeah.
harder to kind of, split votes because people don't want to target somebody else as a backup, but when you have a Q in the game, like there's no blood on your hands if, Q is the person that goes, Tiffany's voting for Q, but there's no
Mhm.
Q there for Tiffany to vote on. If Tiffany's
Yeah.
voting for Ben, it makes the plan a little more dangerous because if Tiffany does play your idol, Ben goes home, so that's a different calculus.
Yeah. James, can you speak to it all? Because as a viewer, I'm watching this and Jeff is like, wow, it's so easy tonight. And they're like, yeah, nothing's going on. It's just such a easy vote tonight. It's Q. I mean, don't the hairs on your back have to be standing up at that point where the conversation of tribal council is just about how like, yeah, it's just so easy.
I feel like Jeff does that like every 5 to 10 minutes about everything that you talk about, that you kind of get desensitized to it.
Yeah.
And so when it does happen, like I remember the moment that like Jeff was like, so why would it be James or Owen tonight? And I was in my head, I'm thinking, why would it be James? Like, why is my name coming up? Like, when did I come? But you don't kind of process it because he's asking those questions consistently. So it just
Yeah.
you just fall into kind of a rhythm where it's like you hear a question like that enough, it becomes normal. So when you do hear those things, you're just like, oh, I mean, it's an easy vote. It is what it is. I mean, we're not trying to stir the pot. Like, we know it's an easy vote. Like, your mind works against you and for you in this game where when you should be paranoid, like, or not. And you have to trust your reads. And sometimes, you just got to just not trust yourself. And I feel like sometimes you have a lot of confidence going into tribal, and the answers people are saying during tribal, are they staying on script? Does that make sense? And if things have been going your way most of the time that you've been in the game, like it's tough to kind of know sometimes when they're not, as opposed to if you were kind of down a little bit and not out of the loop, you kind of maybe more up on, when people are kind of lying to you.
Is there anything that you can like, does Jeff have a tell where, and again, it's so hard, James, because I'm only seeing what's on TV on tribal council, because I kind of feel like that if I'm at a tribal council that I know is going to be an easy vote, I feel like Jeff is going to be doing like he's like a comedian. The show's not going well. He's going to be doing some work to try to spice things up. But when Jeff is commenting about how boring of a vote this is, I feel like he's only doing that when he knows it's actually not a boring vote. Because if it was a boring vote, he wouldn't be calling the attention to the audience of what a boring vote it is.
I feel like and that's where you can underthink and overthink the game. Where like I feel like there were like boring votes where we knew it was boring votes, and like we talked about it being like, well, this was about to happen. It is. No, we lied a lot. Never mind. But
Yeah.
I don't think that. No, I feel like Jeff is good. Like I feel like that's underrated. Where he kind of just lulls you to sleep. Like he's asking the same questions different ways. He's attacking different people, not attacking, but he's just very good at framing the argument from 5 different sides, right?
Yeah.
So you never know the side that is, the one you need to be, worried about. So that's why, okay. And that's why he's so good at it. The question part where you don't know, like, and you can't infer. And you either overthink it or underthink it. You can overthink it, right? And that can cause you to be really paranoid. And then you can underthink it, and then you go home like me. So you're screwed either way.
Yeah. James, what do you think of Spicy Jeff? Because you played at an interesting time, okay? There was sort of like grandfatherly Jeff, and maybe you guys were the beginning of like the sending Jeff to Spicy Jeff territory. And so what do you think of where Jeff is at now?
I feel like Jeff is in a really good groove. I feel like I think he's in a good groove. I feel like I remember like, younger pros, like the older episodes, like
Hmm.
I feel like he was a little edgier. I mean, I feel like this is the kind of the close to the edge he's been kind of in the new era, I would say, you
Hmm.
know. And but seasons 15 through like, 25 or like those early seasons, Jeff was really like getting at people like hardcore. So I still
Hmm.
think he's like this is Spice Jeff. It's not spicy. Like Jeff
Not
is spice. Like
spiciest.
Jeff is doing. I think he's doing a good job of balance to being hard, questioning, and making the players think. Because when you do ask it like 5 times, maybe is Jeff trying to lead us on? Like, what is he trying to do? Like, it is obvious, right? Like, that's the beauty of this game. You never really know until the votes are read. Like,
Hmm. Okay. James, Elizabeth has a question. Did we overestimate Ben and Kenzie's potential relationship? Ben was okay leaving Kenzie out of the vote. Where does the TIFF blindside leave Ben and Kenzie? I think a lot of us felt like, okay, well, this is going to be another person in Kenzie's pocket. But no, Ben kind of went back to Sega, especially also coupled with, I don't know if you saw that secret scene a couple of weeks ago where Maria really laid into Ben and he was very upset and he was talking about that the band broke up. And I'm like, all right, that's it. Ben's not going back with Sega, but here he is and not telling Kenzie about what's going on.
I mean, I feel like this is kind of what they advised them not to tell Austin about the vote out, right? And he was going to tell D. I mean, they
Hmm.
didn't see that season probably, but is if you have a vote, you just need to know the minimum amount of people. Like getting people in on the vote, like that's like happy go lucky survivor, but leave people out the vote. Like if you want the vote to happen, the less people know that's the best way to play it. And Kinsey, like telling someone's number one that you're
Yep.
taking out their number one or whether they want to take them or not is not a good move if you forget trust. You kind of frame it probably like we could have voted you out, but we didn't, or they wanted to vote you out, but we said Tiff, and move forward.
Okay. James, this is a great question for you. Also from Elizabeth, wants to know: are idols less useful in the new era? The meta game has people trying to save them for the whole game, and the blind sides are so well done. What is it about the new era that's really devalued the hidden immunity idol?
I mean, I think the first thing people know about them, that's one. I think not having a time limit on them sometimes that could maybe kind of make someone possibly use the idol, but or sometimes it just doesn't. That threat, that it has
Mm-hmm.
to come out and everybody knows about it. I just think that idols have always been interesting. Like they were something that was revolutionary when they first started, but everybody is seeing almost like every season of Survivor when you're playing this game now. Like most people have watched it, so you kind of know idol is there, and then you have the shot in the dark, which wasn't mentioned tonight. It's still around. Like they still
Yeah, I
got
think
it.
7 is the last time to play it, right?
So and Jeff didn't even bring it up at any point. So if Q's at the bottom, I think the more to tell is to kind of think, Q, you're at the bottom. He throw the shot in the dark. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of more of the tell than anything else. Like that the questions that I would look at. Or you could do what you said, which I may well not. I mean, someone should pull is, hey, if it's
Right.
unanimous, like why do we need to go vote? We all agree to it,
That's a good
right?
point. So you feel like that. So when Tiffany sees, okay, why didn't Q play the shot in the dark? That should be the tell to play the idol.
I mean, yes. It's kind
Yeah.
of like if it's kind of if you're really kind of desperate, like you're gonna play shot in the dark. But he had a plan. But I think at that point, you're looking around like who does Q have a plan with? It's not me, it's not Kenzie. So who is it Maria? Is it Charlie? Is it Ben? Oh, because Ben emotionally is not with Q, you automatically probably discount Ben being a part of that vote. But Ben is playing a logical game, and Ben said, well, I feel like this makes sense for my game, and we still can take Q out later. So I feel like
Hmm.
I feel like it's a tough place. She's in the same place that Hunter was in, where Hunter's looking at Tiff like Liz and Ben really want Q out. Like they really want Q out, and so that's me. That's good enough right there. Of course, everybody wants Q out, so that's enough. But in actuality, they were able to kind of get a reprieve. Maria and Charlie worked their magic, and Q kept them. It's here another week.
Okay. Dr. Christian Hubicki has a question. I wish the show would ask the contestants throughout the show, what do you think the jury will value at the end of the game? That wasn't so much a question. That was a statement from Christian.
I think that's actually interesting to know, because then you'll be more informed about somebody's gameplay. Like, so let's say Q does get to them, he gets formed that question, right? He can then have articulated throughout the season, or had the time to articulate, hey, like, this is kind of something that I saw the writing on the wall, or I'm doing this. They may hate me now, but hopefully when I get to the end, I can say this.
Yeah.
Maybe a little presumptuous, but I think that could happen possibly.
Yeah, James, as somebody who was on the jury, who got to see a lot of the game, not that much of the game, but were you the first juror?
I was a second juror.
Second juror.
Number 10. Yeah.
Okay. But when you are in the game, like, are you thinking at all about what you would want to see from that? Or are you just like only focused on your own game and you're winning? And then when you sit on the jury, does your perspective change?
I feel like for me, I wanted to play a game where I could sit next to anybody at the end and I could articulate the game I was playing. Like, that's the game I wanted to play. I wanted to play a game where when I got voted out, my next step was, with the information that I knew, how were people going to play going down the stretch? Like, who's on the top, who's on the bottom. Like, so, like, what's, happening, and like, who's actually out there? What do you really value? Everybody values different things, so I may be a loyalty person where I'm like, who was the most loyal person out here, or like loyal within the game that they played, or like maybe you favor someone that doesn't play anybody but me game, but they were out there playing hard, got a lot of enemies, but they weren't, out there coasting. Like, you never know what people value. However, building relationships with everybody is the key. You don't want to have any super bad relationships out there, and I think the transparency is key, because I think one thing that, Gabler did that was good is that he would vote for you, but he still made you like him after the vote. He was like straight up for it, and he put the blame on everybody else. Like, yeah, this told me, and it's like, being like, that's part of the game. Being able to have the relationship enough where you vote somebody out and they still want to give you $1 million. Like, that's kind of what it is. And that's the hard part of this game. And I don't believe in bitter juries. If I'm in the trenches with you, and you vote me out, or you had a chance to save me, right? And you don't save me, like, then I have the right to feel some type of way about $1 million if I'm loyal to you. Like, if I wasn't loyal, then maybe not, but everybody can write for any vote they want. So
okay,
you never know, and you got to watch out playing this game.
All right. Good to know for Survivor 50. James is not, he won't hold it against you if you blindside him. He's going to be fair on the jury. The note. Okay. All right. And then one more question, James. Lorenzo says, if Charlie does not vote Maria out, does he need to make his own move without her knowledge, aka D telling Julie to play the idol without Austin knowing? It's been a season about, okay, I have to take out my number one. How does Charlie, or maybe he's doing it in the immunity challenges, can Charlie get around Maria if they both sit in the final three?
I think Charlie can get around Maria. I feel like that's your confidence level in your game. I feel like Charlie and Maria are confident enough to go against each other, and that's in the margins of the game. You have to know the game that you're playing. So you have to describe the game that you're playing the best to the jury. And if you do that, you're going to win. So I don't think in your head that Charlie is worried about Maria and Maria is worried about Charlie. Yes, it will be stiff competition at the end, but you also have to know what you're doing. And if you know what you're doing and you can articulate your case to the jury, especially if you have a good chance to win the game. Like, I'm pretty sure Dom and Wendell knew they both had a chance to win the game. It just came down to just one vote. And that's better than having everybody, try to come against you and try to get through 6, 5, and 4. Like, no one's done that yet. So,
do you think that we get in one of these episodes that Charlie's like, okay, now I have to take out Maria?
I don't think so, because once he does that, then he becomes vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Like, Maria's his shield, his number shield. Like, you don't need that many numbers anymore. So now it's kind of at this point where, I feel like Charlie can win immunities, so he's not really, he can get there. He's not worried about that with the group left. Maria's not like a challenge threat that he's going to perceive for him, right? So like, I don't think he's scared.
But
in
it's
that
such
way.
a
So he
clear
gets the
shot for
fourth.
as long as people don't turn around on him. Like if he keeps Ben around, like if he goes to like Charlie goes to the end with like Ben and Venus or Liz, like I feel like he's looking pretty good. Even
I mean,
Q.
like for real, like who okay, Maria can beat him. Who else can beat him at this point? Like just from what we know right now, he could have an epic fall, but at the
Yeah.
end, like who can technically?
I
like,
would have
beat him?
said Kenzie, but I feel like that now I'm sort of like wavering on Kenzie.
I mean, and that's kind of where it's at. And I think the question is how much do the players kind of feel that, and how much is our perspective as fans what the jury's perspective is, So, and then how much bad blood is on that jury?
Oh, that's Taylor Swift.
I said it. Taylor Swift song.
Bad
Oh,
blood.
I'm probably gonna get banished from the Survivor community, but I don't know that many Taylor Swift songs. So
All right.
I did hear that Kendrick Lamar diss. I mean, that's
Yes.
where I'm for spicy things happening. Like Survivor Twitter has been spicy too, for
Yes,
for
very
your
spicy.
consideration,
All right. James, we've got Taryn Armstrong standing by. Okay, let's see what Taryn has to say. Hey, Taryn.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, going great. Taryn, did you have any Applebees tonight? What is this, Big Brother Canada with all of these endorsements from restaurants?
Listen, Applebee's is too special a treat to have when I'm watching reality television.
Yeah.
I need to concentrate on my Applebee's.
Don't you think we should have gotten a daily drop from this episode of Survivor so we could have seen the entire Applebee's meal?
yeah. We need to watch them not eat the burger after praising the burger.
Yeah. All right. Taryn, what's going on Big Brother Canada?
Rob, so much.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it because people haven't watched it yet. But it's been crazy.
It's this episode was a lot.
Okay.
People are declaring that old school Big Brother is back.
Old school Big Brother is back, James.
Yeah.
That's what I've been seeing.
Minus the feeds, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, very old school then. All right. So check out, Taryn's got the recap. What, 1 week from tonight is the finale for Big Brother Canada?
1 week from tonight.
Okay. All right. It's creeping up on us. All right. Taryn's going to be live with the recap of Eviction Night coming up right after this. All right. Taryn, take care, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
See you later.
All right. Bye. Okay. James, let me talk a little bit about what else is coming up here on RHAP. We've got coming up the Survivor Feedback Show with the patrons. That's going to be live Friday, 3 p.m. I have a lot of fun. Take calls from the patrons, and we anybody can watch it on the YouTube channel, but only the patrons have the link to call in. Those are really fun Survivor Feedback shows on Fridays. And so join me for that, plus everything else in the Survivor podcast feed, including the know-it-alls, the exit interview. Shannon Gus has got a great podcast coming up this week on Survivor Global. You're not going to want to miss that. Plus Why Blank Lost, the B&B, of course, the Purple Pants podcast that James is always great on, the Purple Pants podcast. And then on Club Condo, we are going to have the Purple Pants badass himself, Bryce Isaiah, on Club Condo this week. And James, that's not all. Drew from Survivor 45 is going to stop by for a bonus interview. So got more Survivor content than you can even know what to do with.
That's a lot of content right there.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, even James can't keep up, and he loves Survivor.
I definitely do.
All right. Then, James, have you followed at all Dondi, Deal or No Deal Island?
That's what that hashtag is. Like I was trying to figure it out.
Yes. Boston Rob has been doing Boston Rob things all season long, James. It's been a very fun ride on Deal or No Deal Island. Myself and Jenny and Chappelle have been going all season long. Only 2 weeks left of Deal or No Deal Island. Check that out. We also checked out a little show over on the Learning Channel, MILF Manor. Yeah, we don't skip MILF Manor. That's fine. That's fine.
MILF Manor is a great show. Like,
oh, you watched it?
Yeah, first off, I watched the first season of MILF Manor. Like it's like I feel like it's pioneering reality television. Like
Okay.
it was
All right, we might have to book James for a recap of MILF Manor.
just saying.
Okay. All right. You weren't practicing for any challenges watching MILF Manor, right?
Definitely not practicing any challenges, but very entertaining television. Like just a solid premise. I like to see the
That's
two
not,
premises.
wait, dude, Charlie didn't get, he wasn't a recruit for MILF Manor first, was he?
I do not think so. I think that's not a feeder. If Milk Banner was a feeder program, that would be crazy. But I don't think that.
Put them on the challenge, James. Okay. All right. Take MILF Manor off the screen.
Please,
okay. And
please
then,
do.
yes. And then Chappelle and I spent the last 2 weeks on Nothing But Netflix talking about Unlocked, a jail experiment. Did you hear about this show?
I don't know if it's real or fake. So
that's a good question.
Is it AI? Like I just don't legally see this happening.
AI. I don't think it was AI. That it was. So there was an Arkansas prison facility, and they did a experiment where they let the Netflix cameras in and they let all of the inmates out of their cells and took all of the guards out. And then we basically got the live feeds of what happened during that time. And so it is, there's a lot of questions about the legality and the backstory, but it is very interesting.
Like, did they get paid? Like, do they have SAG cards?
So no, the people that were in the show did not get paid, and there's the sheriff that was in the show, allegedly he got $60,000 from the production company that he said he gave to I'm not sure if it was the state, and then there's like I have some questions about like was this his idea and then he called Netflix, or did Netflix call him and say like, hey, can we do this in your jail? We don't know the answers to that.
I was like, no, this can't be real. Like, there's no way. But it could be real too. It's America, so yes.
I think that would be a big scandal if it was fake.
Maybe 10 years from now.
10 years from now, we'll find out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But interesting podcast nonetheless. Unlocked over on Nothing But Netflix. And then check out everything else we have going on, of course. Subscribe to the podcast version of RHAP and our RHAP ups at robbinswebsite.com/subscribe. And of course, follow us here on YouTube. I've been loving all the engagement we get on the YouTube channel. I read all of your comments after the episode, try to reply to a bunch of them. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything we're doing here on YouTube. All right, James, I love having you on the show to talk about all this stuff. Please come back whenever you have something that, even if it's a quick pop in on any of the shows. What else is going on for you?
So, my birthday is this month.
What do you have planned?
So I'm very excited. Come kick it with me in Philly. If you are around for the Bryson Wynn event in Philly, please come kick it with your boy.
When is that? What is it, in 2 weeks?
I believe that's in 2 weeks. That's the 22nd, right? Or when is it?
I think that's the finale. I think it's the week in between. I think it's the 15th.
I think it's like
probably.
maybe like the 15th or something. I think the 15th. So come kick it with me there. My birthday is next week, so no mean tweets between now and then. Be nice to the players, like on Reddit, like people are people. Like it's just
what are they saying on Reddit? Whether they're saying like, oh, this person has no chance to go back for Survivor 50.
I'm just like, people just have too much time on their hands. Like, if you make a joke, make it witty. Make it like true humor is about really pushing the envelope. Just saying it's calling people bad names and threatening
James,
people.
This is really it. I've been thinking about this a lot. Be nice in general, but you're better off that somebody says something mean about you. And then the comments are all like, hey, like, they shut up. I like James. Screw you. Like, James is a good guy. You're better off if one person says a mean thing about you than one person says a good thing about you. And then all the comments like, no, that's not true. He sucks. He shouldn't go back. Screw him. He's overrated. He's gone soft. You need the first person to comment something bad. And then the replies will be all like sticking up for you. If the first person, you see a Reddit thread like, oh, hey, Rob Cesternino is awesome. Like, and I see there's like 37 replies. I know it's bad news.
Hey man, I feel like now in the media age, all news is good news. It's just like be like funny with it. Like if you're gonna take a joke or a stab, like actually do something good with it. Just don't be putting crap.
No, but be nice to James. That he's always talking about Survivor and always has fun stuff to say. All right,
I want the smoke though. So if you want to come for me, we can have some fun.
Yeah.
We can have some. I am yeah. Don't play with me, but you can play with other people. Don't play with me.
Okay, who do you want smoke with? Other contestants, or you want?
Oh no, I'm talking about like
fans?
you're just talking stuff like on the Twitter sphere about people and stuff. Like just keep my name out of it, from a Twitter standpoint.
Okay, all right, James. I feel like you're sending a mixed message. Do you want the smoke or keep your name out of it?
I'm always here for the smoke. I mean, but I don't. I mean, I'm not gonna run away from the smoke, but it's more just like let's all be friends. I'm I'm a very nice guy, easy to get along with.
Okay. I don't want any smoke.
See, we get along. It's great.
Yeah. All right. This was very fun. And stick around for Big Brother Canada tonight. And it's busy Thursday here on RHAP. Thank you so much, James. Thanks for listening. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.